Okay, so this is going to be part 2 of our first Bible study on First John, and we've read verse, verses 1 to 13. Yes, and if you missed that, just go back to the other video, which we'll post together with this, or you can find it on our YouTube channel. So, the question I asked previously was there were two groups of people, um, and we mentioned that it's people who receive Christ and those people who did not receive Him. Uh, so, okay, yes, yeah, mm, that, yeah, they're not forced to believe Him. Um, yeah, it doesn't really say. Like I like to let the Bible talk, and it doesn't really say too much about that group. It just says they did not receive Him. Um, and reason being that the world did not know him. So he came to earth, and his people, and his people here is talking about the Jewish people. But it can apply to anyone also. I mean, um, it's not just Jewish people that were Jews. Anyone can join that religion at that time, Judaism. Um, even non-Jewish, even though you're not born a Jew, you can still join that religion. So anyone, like he came to his people, and his people basically are the people he made. Um, it could be anyone, but also to his nation. So I don't want to limit it to just the Jewish people. But either way, he did come to them first, and they did not receive him. Um, but then those who receive him, yeah, those who receive him, whether they're Jewish or not, he gave them the right to become his children. Uh, yes, I mean believing in him. Um, yes, yes, that is actually in chapter 3. Yeah, we will talk in depth about that. What it means to be born again in that chapter. Uh, so, mm, yeah, I mean, there's references. There's like there's some foreshadow of that already. Like those uh who are born not of blood, not of the will of the flesh, not of the will of man, but of God. So it's God's will. So I guess yeah, we can talk a bit about it here. Um, yes, yes. Um, yes, his name. Yeah, there's a thing about his name, like um, in the Old Testament, um, his name is like a greatly revered thing. Um, like the term his name is like they would call God, because God's name and God's name is like so holy that they won't even say God, they would say his name, right? So it's like sometimes in the modern day, some Jews they would not even say God's name because they are afraid of taking God's name in vain, because it's one of the Ten Commandments. So they would say his name, like or G hyphen D. Um, and if you're reading it, it's G hyphen D. So it's like it's so holy that they don't want to take his name in vain. So they also believe in his name, believe in God, right? So they believe in the Creator God. Um, and so that's what I think of when I hear they believe in his name. They believe in the true God, the God that is is, is very holy, um is the creator, but we can say his name because we know now his name is Jesus. Back then they didn't. I mean, back then Jesus was God, but he didn't come to the world yet. So actually, I wanted to just go back to a bit of the first section where we talked about, and just want to say that when we see in the beginning, um, um, it means that Jesus, you know, uh, it doesn't mean that when Jesus was born, because Jesus was never. I mean, he was born as a child later on, but that's God becoming human. Yeah, yeah. So in the beginning here does not refer to when Jesus was born physically. It's referring to in the beginning of the world, which you talked about in Genesis 1:1. Because some people, I guess, might confuse this and say, "Oh, in the beginning it means when Jesus was born." Like, for us humans, it's like our beginning is when we were given birth to. So Jesus existed before that. Yeah, that just came to my mind, so I wanted to say that. Okay, so those who were not born of blood, that means it's not physical. It's not like a physical birth. It's not by the will of the flesh. That means it's not like by human effort, like not through choice of a person, like the will of man, which basically is like a man and woman's decision. It is uh, God's giving this person new life. Like they were born again, like you talked about, born again is actually God's will, and God gave them this ability, like, and also something like a right. He gave them the right to become children of God. So he kind of adopted them because now he is their father. Now they are his children. Um, does that make sense? You got being born not of blood, not of the flesh, not of man. Okay, now it makes sense. Okay, I mean we'll get deeper into this in the next chapter 3 when we talk about being born again, but this is just a highlight and a preview of what's to come. Okay, so verse 14. Why don't you read verse 14 to 18? Okay. Um. Okay. So what do you get from this section? Like, um, does anything interesting jump out at you? Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Um. Yeah. Jesus Christ is at the Father's side. Yes. And he here is God. God has made him known, right? So God has revealed. his son Jesus Christ. Yes. Yeah. So yes, yes. So we know God is spirit. He's not a physical being, but Jesus became a physical uh, person, a human, to to uh, to dwell among us. That means to live among us. What do you think? What do you think that was necessary? I mean, uh, couldn't God couldn't God do something else to communicate with us? Why do you think? Why do you think Jesus had to come to live with us at this time? Like, no, no, no. I think it's talking about the word became flesh, right? So flesh means human, to take on a body, and then to dwell among us. So it's talking about when Jesus was alive during those few years. Um, so why do you think God had to send Jesus to earth? Okay. But isn't there another way that God can communicate with us? Like, why did he have to send his son? Like, why did he? Okay, yeah, that's a very good answer. Oh, awesome. Okay. Um, okay, yes. Yeah. Mhm. Yes. Yes. Yes, that's right. Yep. Mhm. Okay, just a moment. Let me. I need to get something. Hang on. Just pause it for a while. Okay. So you're saying, verse 14. Did you finish saying what you had to say? Okay. Okay. Cool. Okay. So back to verse 12. I just had this question that maybe we can answer together, or you can try answering. What? So verse 12, right? So what does it mean to receive Christ? What? Yeah. What does it mean? What does it mean to you? Like, is because it says to those who receive Him, right? What does it mean to receive Him in your own words? Mhm. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's very good. Yeah. I like the answer. And then the results of that, we kind of saw that in the next verse. But what did okay in your words? What are the results of receiving Christ? Results. What are the results? Yeah. I mean, in addition to that, but in your own words. I mean, we read what the Bible says, but let's kind of explain that a bit more. Like, what does it mean to receive Christ, and what are the results of that? Can you try to yeah. Okay, the first question was, what does it mean to receive Christ, which you answered. Okay, so what does it mean, and then what are the results? Like, um, okay, yes, mm-hmm. Okay, okay, cool. I guess I'll just post it here. uh, I'll use this to put notes down. So these are the questions, like, what does it mean to receive Christ, and what are the results? And we'll include this also when we post this up on the website. Okay. So verse 14, I think we talked a bit about that. Um, so what does this tell us about Jesus? What does verse 14 tell us about Jesus? Yeah. Okay. Uh-huh. Okay. Can you say that again? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. So yeah, that's a good. Oh, oops. Mhm. I'm just typing out the question. So why did this what you asked, right? Why did Jesus have to become flesh and dwell among us? Isn't that what I asked you that? Isn't that what I asked you? Okay. Um. Yes. I'll just move to the side. Yes. Hmm. Yeah, new Christian. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, these are questions that I guess non-believers and even young Christians would ask, and that's why we're trying to answer them, right? Usually, I think um, the word became flesh and dwell among us. Usually, at this point, it's like reading a story. You don't really ask too many questions. It's only when you do Bible studies that you ask a lot more questions, and you try to get more information and try to read between the lines and try to figure out what is going on. Usually, most people when they read the Bible, it's just they read it really quickly and they just skip over the questions. It's just like they believe is true and they just go through. They just run through the chapter, or they don't really stop and think. That's what I find, right? And that's why we do Bible studies to stop and think and look at each verse and some of the words and what do they mean. So um it doesn't really, I think further on in John it will actually explain more, but in this case it's sort of like um it's sort of like it's yeah, I mean, I guess it's tough. I don't really have an answer to how they find out. I mean, it's just basically through reading the Bible that and putting pieces together, because some books of the Bible might explain certain parts of this chapter, and it's like it's like a jigsaw puzzle. And I think, if people have questions, you should ask someone else who maybe have been a Christian longer and have more like knowledge about these things. But generally we see the flow is okay, the word, right? So word, the word is God, the word was with God, and then he was life. So I think that's the flow, right? So the word life, so the word became alive, it became flesh, because flesh that is not alive is dead, right? And then he lived among us, so he was living. um and then people saw him, people saw his glory, people saw this as the son of the father. So when I first became a Christian, I think that's what I kind of got it from. Like I got uh the word became flesh, basically. The word became flesh. So it became the word which is God, was God, is God. The word became flesh. So God became flesh. And he lived among us. And I may not know why yet, especially as a new Christian, but I know that Jesus came to earth and he was living, he was a real person, and he lived with us for a while, and then you know and then he's the son of God, he's the son of the father, which is also God. Does that answer the question? Kind of. Okay. Yeah, yeah, exactly, yeah. Mhm. um well, the thing is, what does it mean to what does glory mean? What does this word glory, what does it mean, right? um and John, he also wrote the other books. He also wrote letters, the First John, Second John. So let's look at First John, which is also written by him. Uh, and we will see something like he kind of explains himself. Sometimes other books explain it, but he explains himself. And um, so this is First John. It's a different part of the. It's near the end of the New Testament. Um, so here we see John explaining more. Um, so so why don't you read the first four verses um, for us, Henry? Yeah, First John chapter 1, 1 to 4. Okay, yeah, thank you. So does this help? Because it talks about, well, at this point is many years after he wrote John, his book. Um, and so he talks about having seen with our eyes, and we see here like his glory. People have seen his glory, right? So let's put it side by side again. Um, so we have seen his glory. What do you think glory means first? What does the word glory mean? When you think of glory, what do you think of? Okay. Um, so let's let's look at the definition for glory. I guess we can ask Google what is glory definition. So let's see what Google tells us. Glory. Yes. So high. I'll make it bigger. Um, high renown or honor won by notable achievements, magnificence, great beauty, um, take great pride or pleasure in. That's the verb. So we're talking about the noun actually. So it could be magnificence, which is like his greatness. Splendor is like his splendor, like his majesty. Like um, um, grandeur, majesty, greatness, nobility. Yeah, usually it's a term for royal people. It's also a term where um, when people win a race, like if they're running a marathon or something and they win, it's like a glory. At the end, it's like a great celebration and a great honor. Um, let's see. Yeah, let's look at dictionary.com. Um, yeah, I would think so. I mean, this would explain a bit more about the glory. You see, glory, like so yeah, like we asked, what is glory? So glory as of the Son of God or a Son of the Father. So this glory is different than you know other glory because it's a glory that God has, right? Um, and in the Old Testament, um, and in the rest of the Bible, glory has a certain significance to it. Um, it's it's hard to explain. Yeah. Um, yeah, grace and truth, but more than that, I think glory is a lot more it's a bit more um let me think of how to define because glory that is a special term and it means a lot more than just what we have defined in the dictionary. Let me think. Um, okay. In the Old Testament, glory basically means something heavy, something weighty, right? It has weight. It's like something you put on someone. It's like a medal. It's that's one of the things. But it also means that there's a part of it that talks that refers to uh judgment because like when you win a race or a battle and you get a prize, or a medal. It's like is the people give you the honor. There's the honor. Yeah. There's honor. There's a value on it, right? But glory is also like a wonderful thing where people they wonder and they have splendor. Let me look for yeah. Yes. Okay. So yeah, I agree with that. I Yeah, exactly. Um yeah, so I found this website is CRAM. It stands for Christian Apologetics and Research Ministry. They are a pretty good website if you want to like understand words in the Bible. Um and here it says like in the Old Testament the word glory um and the Hebrew word kabod, which carries the idea of heaviness and weight. Um, in the New Testament, it is doxa, which is the Greek word, and it carries the idea of opinion, judgment, estimate, splendor, and brightness. So even in the Old Testament, is there's the brightness associated with it. Right? When people saw God's glory, it's like they saw this bright light, and it was like God is God is light, and that's part of His glory. So it is used to speak of great honor, praise, value, wonder, and splendor as well. And then there's some references here. If you're interested, you can take a look at these um, cross references. But basically, it's one of those words that are really hard to explain. um, but it's a wonderful word. It's just hard to explain. We'll come back to that. Yeah, yeah, we did. Uh, I mean, every one of these words is like a very powerful word, like the word of God, and like you can people have preached sermons on these, and the light of God, and this and that. Like it's very deep stuff. Um, um, Actually, I think like we should stop here because it's pretty much an hour now. We've been doing this Bible study for uh no, we did to eight. Oh, okay, yeah, we do to 18, right? Okay, so we are at verse 14, 15. Okay, let's do 15 and to 18, and then we'll yeah, we'll stop there for today. Okay. So um okay, so verse 15 does is in brackets. What do you think is in brackets? Does it matter? Like no? Okay. Okay, just pretend they're not there. I mean, brackets usually mean some translations don't have this. Yeah, so it's not in every Old Test. No, it's not in every translation of the Bible. So it but I mean it's there, and so we can talk about it. I mean some Bibles they have verse 14 and then they jump to verse 16 because they don't have verse 15. That's why it's in brackets. That's all. It's not a big deal. I mean, I think okay, what do you think of verse verse 15? Y- Yes, he. I mean, okay. Here it says John bore witness about him, and him is Jesus, right? Yeah, and he cried out, this is he whom I said. So he talked about him before. He was telling people. He was bearing witness. When you bear witness, you tell people about it. It's like a testimony. Who's John? No. This John is John the Baptist. Yeah, I guess it's a bit Yeah, sometimes they don't say that. Uh, yeah, but this is John the Baptist for sure. Um, so this is he who I told you. Go ahead. Yeah. No. As we will read later on, like John's ministry, like what his role or what God has called him to do for his life is to tell people about Jesus. So we'll get to that next time, but the testimony, when you are a witness, you give a testimony, right? In court anyway, in a court of law, when you give a witness, it's like, or when you are a witness, you give testimony about something. um so this is basically talking about John the Baptist. I mean, this the whole book. Okay, the whole book of John the disciple, John. Um, the whole book of it is actually a testimony as well. His testimony of Jesus as a disciple, as a follower, as a follower of Christ, as a follower of Jesus. But then here he talks about John the Baptist, who also have a testimony. Everyone who is a Christian has a testimony, which is what how God has changed their lives, or how they met Jesus, or how they became a Christian. That's a testimony, right? So when it says John bore witness, it means he testified about him. Okay, and then this is basically what he said, like he who comes after me was also before me, right? Which, what do you think of that? I mean, when John says he who comes after me uh, uh, is before me, like because he was before me. Like, what do you think of that? Um, what do you think that means? Okay, okay. Uh, okay, I guess we should make it simpler. So I'm going to he is Jesus. Yeah, and then he who comes after me, this is John. The this, yeah, uh, yeah, yes, yes. So I replaced the he. So now read it like Jesus, um, who came after John the Baptist. Um, I don't know, the word rank is anyway. Um, we can replace it with something else, I guess. But yeah, is before John the Baptist because Jesus was before John the Baptist. So um, I guess in terms of natural life, John was born before Jesus, right? So I think John is saying that, even though Jesus comes after John the Baptist was born physically. Uh, yeah. So Jesus was born physically after John the Baptist. But then he actually exists before John the Baptist, right? Yeah. Got it. Okay. Hope that clears it up. Um, yeah. So verse 16. Let's move to verse 16. Um, yeah. Mhm. Mhm. Okay. Cool. Um. Anything? Um. Is it pretty straightforward to you? Like, does it make sense? Any questions? Um. Um. Okay. So, verse 18. Okay. Okay. One has ever seen God. Uh. Yeah. Yeah. Is. Yeah. Um. I think. I think. Yeah. I mean. So here, the first time it mentions God, no one has ever seen God because um, yeah, no one has ever seen God, and God is the only God, right? So the first part is make it makes sense, and then who is at the farthest? No, I think he's talking about Jesus. No one has ever seen. Hang on. Yes, no one has ever seen God, the only God who is at the Father's side. So Jesus is at the Father's side. Jesus is God. Um, and the only God is at the Father's side. He has made him known. Who is at the Father's? Jesus, who is at the Father's side, and I think, yeah, God has made him known. Like the Father has made Jesus known. You think this reads properly? No one has ever seen God, Jesus Christ. No one's ever seen God, the only God who is at the Father's side. He has made him known. No one's ever seen God. No, no, I think it's the other way around. Yeah, so it's uh, Jesus have made the Father known. Yeah, I think this is the way it should be. What do you think? I think so. I mean, I probably have to do more research on this, but at this point, it seems like this makes sense to me. Like, no one has ever seen God, which is uh, the Father, and then the only God, um, Jesus, I guess, because yeah, because Jesus is by the Father's side, right? He's at the Father's side, and then Jesus have made the Father known. Um, yeah. Um, for from his fullness is Jesus. We receive for the law came grace and yeah, yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, Jesus made known the Father, God, to us. Made the Father known. Yeah, so it has made the Father known. Like he has made his Father. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. I mean, I'll look into this more in detail later on, but I think, yeah, I think I can stand, and if I'm wrong, which can happen, I'm yeah, we'll change it, uh but I think, yeah, this is actually what I think you should read. Sometimes it's confusing because the he, it doesn't really, tell you who he is. but but yeah, I mean, if you think otherwise, I mean, if you're watching this and you think otherwise, you can always put it in a comment, and we can talk about that also. So okay, so I think we did the first 18 verses for today. Took us like an hour. Yeah, which is, yeah, which is pretty good. I mean, this is our first time trying this, and um, yeah, I think this is great. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to end the video here, and then feel free to post your comments or like this video, or give us suggestions or anything. All right, thanks for joining us, and thank you, Henry, for joining me. Um, and you'll catch us in the next video. Bye for now.